interactive.
You can imagine if states, the federal government and state government say, okay, all the vehicles we're going to use all should come from Innocent or any other local manufacturer of automobiles in Nigeria.
If a woman cannot build the family or her family, how can she build a nation? So it starts with the family.
Well, if you talk of employment, unemployment in Nigeria is one of the indicators of socio-economic problems that we're having in the country. Let me just say it from 1960 to date.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Yes, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. You're welcome to the special episode of National Discourse. Of course, it's no longer news that there was a special letter or an open letter. Some called it, Obasanjo's way out, that our ex-president, Olusegun Obasanjo, penned down to our current president, President Muhammadu Buhari, on issues bordering on economy, agriculture, and of course, how to fix the economy right. And then those silent issues, they are what we've been treating since Wednesday till now. Now, yesterday we had an honorary member coming from the political angle, and today we have a very senior lawyer with us in the house. We have Barrister N.J. Kalu with us. So it's such a great pleasure to have you in our midst today, to have you analyze what this is all about. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. All right, we'll go for a short break, and we are coming back with the legal analysis of Obasanjo's The Way Out. Please stay with us. I still remain your host, Uche Uduma. Welcome to National Discourse. Fuel scarcity has been a problem in Nigeria from time immemorial.
Current affairs.
We have to fix our refineries.
Politics. It's interactive.
You can imagine if states, the federal government and state government say, okay, all the vehicles we're going to use all should come from Innocent or any other local manufacturer of automobiles in Nigeria.
If a woman cannot build the family or her family, how can she build a nation? So it starts with the family.
Well, if you talk of employment, unemployment in Nigeria is one of the indicators of socio-economic problems that we're having in the country. Let me just say it from 1960 to date.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
All right, welcome back from the short break. We are still on National Discourse. Of course, just kicking in. Okay, sir. We are talking about the open letter Obasanjo wrote to our current president. So what the question right here now is, does our ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo have the locus to write this letter? Let's look at his past administration, what he was able to do for Nigeria. No, we are not really looking at the military regime. We're looking at the democratic dispensation that he started with in Nigeria in 1999 till he left, the post. Let's still remember again, he was the one looking at thought and bid before Nigerians woke up to it. Now let us look at all his activities during his tenure, whether he has the moral justification, let me use the word, to write this letter to our president.
Thank you very much. You see, talking about moral justification,
Yes,
for me, it depends on what you really want to achieve. If you look at the time our ex-president was in charge,
yes,
first of all, you'll agree with me that we had stability in Nigeria. Even though, at that time, Nigerians were yearning for civil dispensation, democratic dispensation. Now, when Obasanjo came on board, it was that, oh, thank God that we are eventually going to be democratic.
yes, sir.
That having been said, when he came on board, the first thing we saw him did was reconciliation. What did he do? If you remember the Oputa Reconciliatory Commission that he set up, that kind of brought us together. If you have any grievances, come let us discuss it. But don't bother asking me what happened with the report. But then people were serious, people were interested, people were going there to say their bit, to report, to say all that they went through. during the military regime. So that was first step. Then the second step, when Obasanjo was there, you will agree with me that he tried to spray political positions. We have never seen in our democratic system beginning from 99 till today, any system that has allowed a spread of political positions. I stand to be corrected.
Across geopolitical zones.
Across geopolitical zones. I stand to be corrected.
Yes,
and that brought, as a matter of fact, made PDP a very strong party in Nigeria. Because you find that people were nobody. The agitation that, oh, our people are not represented, oh, you have made more, your appointment is one-sided, you have done, you know, we didn't have that during his dispensation. Everybody at that point felt involved. That was even the reason why it was difficult for an opposition party to exist. Except in the West then, when they had Ahmed Tinubu, Senator Ahmed Tinubu there, who was very strong as governor of Lagos State. So that was his own system. It was a system that Nigerians were brought together. It was a system that as a Nigerian you can be in Kano or Sokoto without minding where you are from. Nobody will even remember that you are from River State. So now, after that, when Yaradua came on board, we started having issues of, oh, this appointment is going this way and that way. Mind you, that was when we started having the issue of Kaba. That was the beginning of issue of Kaba, which was even thrown up by the late NAFDAC, by the late Minister of Information, that's Chief Mrs. Tora Akunyel then. So that was where we started. We started hearing about Kaba and Kaba. At that point, people felt, oh, she's a woman, she talks a lot. Then from that point, the issue of Kaba continued to gain ground until today. By the way, what is the main thing, what is the main message going by late ex-president's letter?
Okay.
He's saying, oh, this is the complaint by Nigerians. Maybe nobody among those so-called Kaba has been able to tell you, please, I am sincerely writing to you through this medium, this is what Nigerians are saying. Simply stated. So the message is what is more important than even the messenger.
Okay.
So when we talk about moral justification, fine, we shouldn't even bother whether he has that stand to say what he said. But what is the message? What is the content of the message? That's what we think that is more important.
Okay. All right, sir. We'll try to look at this message, line by line. We are taking it one after the other. We have like 15 salient points being identified here. And the first one, it says Buhari lacks understanding of the economy. What's your take on that?
Well, I will also say again, during Obasanjo's regime, you can agree that we almost had the best brains in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
I mean, best brain in his cabinet. That one when we had, you can talk about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. When Obasanjo came in, remember that our external debt, what it was.
Yes.
And he managed that. Then you also remember the price of oil as at the time he came in, and the state of economy as was handed over to him by the military administration. But he managed all those things. So what he's saying in effect is that, look, Nigerians, when they voted the president, President Buhari, it was like, come on, we are tired of the system. We want to have a new breath, which is Obasanjo, which is Buhari. When he came in, there was a lot of expectation. Now, it took him about 3 months to appoint his chief of staff. It took about 6 months, if not more, to appoint his, to constitute his cabinet.
Cabinet members.
Then it took him almost 2 years or more to appoint board members of MDS. Now, if that is what is going on, don't you think the economy will be affected one way or the other? Let me even ask you, if you don't have head of parastatals and board in place, how are you going to manage the board for the long period? The period that we didn't have a cabinet, federal executive cabinet, what was happening? How was our economy managed by one person? Because the board starts and ends in his court. He's our president. So people expected so much from him when we voted him. We wanted a change and wanted him to, not miracle, not for him to do a miracle, yes, but there must be a starting point. So what you are saying, immediately we voted him, there was no starting point. There was all these excuses, oh, because of what PDP did and what they did, people agreed.
But sorry, sir, the blame game,
yes,
have this government stopped playing the blame game?
Which is unfortunate, I must tell you, they've not stopped.
Okay.
The blame game is still continuing. And you see, that's the problem. If you continue to remain in blame game for a long time, people are saying, come on, tell us, what is your program? Tell me any project that this current government has commissioned. The first project, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. The first project that was commissioned by the president is the railway running from Abuja to Kaduna. Mm-hmm. And that was not done by this administration. Yes, yes. That was just completed by the last administration. Yes, then the president commissioned. Good, it's a continuous thing. But after that, we needed to see more. This is what I have done. When Jonathan was in power, the former minister for works was very, very active. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Because the minister then will tell you, you hear about road project, what has happened in so and so road. Look at the Abuja Lokoja road. You will find that during that period, that was when that road was built. That road was almost impossible then. But when the minister will come on air and say, we are doing this project, it will be commissioned by so and so time, people will be looking up to that. But in this administration, nobody tells you that. And you don't see anything. So that is the worries that Nigerians are having. And they are asking, what are we doing? Okay. So that is the basis of the letter that Obasanjo has written. It's not as if Obasanjo is the person that is speaking for the people, or when you say he did well, he may have his shortcomings. But let us not look at Obasanjo as a person, whether he can say that or not to say it. But he has given the message that's what we need. Okay, and he's not only one of the people that can say it to the man. If I had said that, if I had written that letter, will anybody react to it? No. This is truth. So it's only the man that had written it. That's why he's throwing up all these arguments and counter-arguments. Okay, sir. Now let's look at number 2. You say current president has a weak understanding of foreign policies or foreign issues. Okay. Looking at that, you see, he has a minister for foreign affairs that's supposed to brief him. Okay. You cannot expect him to be in all the countries. Yes, sir. In any case, foreign issues are not the only issues that he will be facing with. But I agree with you, it's good for a president to have a proper grip of the foreign or international policies as it will affect his own country. Okay. Now, I don't know, for me, given the situation the president has found himself within the last 1 year, his health issues, we know that he wasn't strong enough at the point. They had to take a medical leave. All those you can say that could result to his not being able to really assess and take a stand on certain issues. But those issues, he can be well represented by his external, well, if you call him foreign affairs minister, okay, which is his duty, and his ambassadors. So that's what I can say as much as that. All right. Number 3 said nepotism and corruption has been in charge ever since this administration commenced. Okay. Corruption in Nigeria, and nepotism. Is nepotism. Let's take it one after the other. Sir. Let's take issue of corruption. Okay, corruption was one of the things that the current government said we are coming to fight. Now, we agreed and accepted them. When they came on board, the question, when you are fighting corruption, what is your system, what is the mode, what is your style? That one thing we were expecting to see a different style from what was being done. You can agree with me, I may be wrong, that corruption is being fight on the pages of newspaper and television. That is media fighting of corruption. After that, do you hear it again?
Nothing.
How many convictions that they have secured in this their corruption fight? Let's face it. Because you can only tell the world that yes, I'm fighting corruption. People will look at you and say, you secured this conviction and that. Not when you have information so-called, then you quickly arrest somebody to court without having proper evidence to prosecute that person. In a developed countries, in US, in any other part of the world, before you are arraigned in court by an agency, graft agency, they must be sure that they have evidence that there is nothing that will make them not to get conviction against you. Nothing. But here you find, to show that, oh, we are working, somebody will quickly rush to court and put it in the press. After 3 months or so, you won't hear about it again. So can you then say that we are fighting corruption? Because you fight corruption and you get the result. If you fight corruption every day, you are hearing, oh, this case is struck out, that case is for lack of want of diligent prosecution. Is that fighting corruption? Because fighting corruption does not mean arrest. Fighting corruption is arrest the person, interrogate the person, investigate the crime, go to court, and your evidence is watertight. The person is prosecuted and convicted. So how many have we got? Please let me know if you know. How many have they convicted? How many people? Yesterday or so, it's in the news that they've arrested and detained the former secretary to the government. I can tell you, it is part of this letter written by Obasanjo. Because Nigeria have been saying, is it today that the man was, that allegation came up? It is part of the reaction coming from the letter written by President Obasanjo, whether they like it or not. So this is like face saving. Let us show Nigerians that, oh, after all, we are not keeping quiet. The letter even mentioned something about round tripping of foreign currencies within the system. They should have told us that it's not true. It is not enough to say, oh, Mr. President ex-president is too busy not to know what we are doing. But there are other issues, other allegations, which allegations that you should address and tell Nigerians this is not true. If it is in America, for instance, or in a developed country, that will be even the first thing they will make sure they tell Nigerians, convince us and let us know that it's not true. No, nobody has said that it's true or not true. Is it correct? Have they said that? It is not enough to make a general statement, denial, and say, oh, after all, Mr. Ex-President is too busy. That is being very careful. They don't want to insult him. They don't want to say things that will make him feel bad. It's out of respect. They say that, but that is not what we want to hear. That is what we call general traverse. So let them come and tell us that those allegations are not true.
Okay, so now looking at the whole corruption saga,
yes.
and how this administration has been when it has to do with handling issues of corruption.
Yes.
Like you're talking about making an arrest and then coming to court and all of that. Now, coming from the legal angle, where has this put our justice system?
Well, I differ from what others will tell you.
Yes, sir.
People will tell you, oh, our judiciary is weak. Oh, we delay cases in court. Oh, because just court and this and that. There is, in my view, we have good judges.
Yes, sir.
We have our legal system. You can't just wake up and say, oh, it's completely wrong. I agree with you that you could have some few bad eggs among them. But then, what is the conduct of the people that want to bring? Is it not when you bring a case to court? If you're a judge, I'll come to you, prosecutor, this is my case. They will come and tell the judge the next day that their witness is in Sokoto. Adjournment, applications upon applications. But we have this, our new criminal justice system that is addressing that. I think most jurisdictions, most courts today, they are taking the issue of criminal cases very serious. There are a number of adjournments that you cannot get. They will not oblige you as a lawyer to come up with all sorts of frivolous applications. Look at the last one that even happened yesterday, the day or two itself. The former publicity secretary of PDP, when he came up and said, I'm sick, ordinarily somebody will say that is based on health ground, he should be granted an adjournment. But for whatever reason, the judge said, no, I'm not looking at this letter you've given. It is not enough excuse for me to grant that adjournment.
Okay.
So you can't completely say the fault is our judicial system. So the actors within that judicial system, which is the government, the agencies, what is their own practice? I have a case, if I'll tell you, where ICPC
Okay.
arraigned somebody in court. There is no proof of evidence, as I'm talking to you, that is enough to commence the trial or the trial of the prosecution of that.
So the case is still in court.
Oh, there.
Okay, we'll be going for a short break, sir. And when we come back, we get straight to point number 4 and we continue to the end. Please stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to National Discourse. Fuel scarcity has been a problem in Nigeria from time immemorial.
Current affairs,
We have to fix our refineries.
politics, it's interactive.
You can imagine if states, the federal government and state government, say, okay, all the vehicles we're going to use all should come from Innocent or any other local manufacturer of automobiles in Nigeria.
If a woman cannot build the family or her family, how can she build a nation? So it starts with the family.
Well, if you talk of employment, unemployment in Nigeria is one of the indicators of socio-economic problems that we're having in the country. Let me just say it from 1960 to date.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Welcome to National Discourse. Fuel scarcity has been a problem in Nigeria from time immemorial.
Current affairs,
We have to fix our refineries.
politics, it's interactive.
You can imagine if states, the federal government and state government, say, okay, all the vehicles we're going to use all should come from Innocent or any other local manufacturer of automobiles in Nigeria.
If a woman cannot build the family or her family, how can she build a nation? So it starts with the family.
Well, if you talk of employment, unemployment in Nigeria is one of the indicators of socio-economic problems that we're having in the country. Let me just say it from 1960 to date.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
All right, you're welcome back from that short break. We are still continuing with our discussion on the open letter written to our current president by our ex-president, Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo. So, sir, we are starting from point number 4, and we are looking at the fight against insurgency. Where are we on this fight as a nation? Can we boldly say we are done with this fight? At what level, at what point are we in the fight against insurgency, sir?
Now, let's get something clear. You can't just completely end insurgent in any part of the world. You can't completely say it's over. No, it's not. That's terrorism activity. You can't just end it. You give it to this present administration that before now, at least we have at least they have been kind of restricted to certain zone, call it northeast zone. That is where you can say you hear cases of bombing and so on. But before now, we were not sleeping in Abuja. Every morning you are leaving your house in this town, in Abuja. You were not sure of what will happen because you hear about bomb in Wuse 2, bomb in IG's office.
Maraba.
in Maraba, you can agree that those ones, we forget so soon.
Yes, sir.
Those ones have been taken care of. We don't have those cases. You can agree with me. So having said that, you can say that this government has tried. They have done well. They have done very, very well, in my assessment,
yes, sir.
that respect, given what was on ground before they came on board. Now, sorry, I lost my line about your question. You asked two things. Is it the fight against insurgency? Yes, they are trying. But then, talking about insurgency, we have a problem as it is now. The problem is, which is part of nepotism, yes, sir, that the ex-president is referring to. The international world has declared a particular set of people, yes, a terrorist group. Yes, sir. And you, that is living with that group, you are negotiating and talking with them and asking your people to tolerate them and live with them. The herdsmen issue. Yes, sir. That issue is where, in my view, that this government has really failed to look at, because the government have not seen that. They've always been looking at it as normally we will always have clashes between community and this other community. That was why the Inspector General of Police carelessly say, oh, that is communal clash, referring to what happened in Benue State. Until when he went there, he saw that, no, this is beyond what I thought. Because that's what we are used to, and that's the way the government is perceiving the activities of herdsmen. Now, they are now telling us that, oh, we have discovered in the south where certain things are being done, people that are not Nigerians, okay, that is likely that there are people that are perpetrating this killing in the North Central. Is that not a contradiction? So they have not really taken time to focus on these herdsmen. If they have done that, maybe we won't get to where we are. That is the problem. So if the body language is like, oh, after all, these are your people, because some people will say, because Mr. President is a Fulani extraction, it could not be. It's possible. You can't say that is the reason why he's not taking it. But it may be because of not paying attention to face that as a problem. And now it is even causing more problem than Boko Haram. What is the difference between herdsmen and Boko Haram? Looking at the activities, killing of people, what else? Burning of a community, burning of houses, slaughtering people like animals. The difference is that herdsmen, they don't throw bomb, maybe. Boko Haram throws bomb. Different
means of killing.
Yes. So, but people are dying. So, you cannot say that fighting Boko Haram, they have not tried. But their duty is to secure the citizens of Nigeria. That is what you are. That's the first objective. That is the first objective. So you cannot say my attention is more on Boko Haram because I promised you during my campaign that I will stop Boko Haram. Yes, you have tried. I give it to him. But the herdsmen, you have allowed the same Boko Haram maybe to infiltrate into herdsmen, and they are causing more havoc. And you are watching and asking people to tolerate them. What's the meaning of that? Okay. That's my take on it.
Yes, sir. We actually ventured into point number 5, that's the crisis of herdsmen / crop farmers. But let's move over to crop number 6 rather, because we have touched on that. It's a governor's endorsement of Buhari. It's not news that a day after 73 people were buried. Now, a group of people amongst the governor forum, they went to visit him to endorse him for 2019 election. I mean, where does that put our face as a nation?
Let me tell you. All other parties, including the main opposition party, they will tell you they use that to score political points. I'm not a politician. They will tell you, oh, these people are insensitive to what has happened to people in Benue State. If they're in the same position, they will do worse. These are politicians. So you know that the governors are looking for opportunity to survive. Most of them became governors because of Buhari. Ordinarily, many of them wouldn't have become a governor because people were voting for a change, and that change was Mr. President. So they are fighting for their survival. All that is for them to survive. If Buhari is not running today, if President Buhari is not running today, I can tell you many governors will not return. That is their fear. So it is not because they are really, you can call it, you can say that they are not, they are insensitive, but that is politician, that is politics. They want to survive by all means. That's what I think.
Okay, sir. Let's go to point number 8. He said the Buhari government has no order.
What do you mean?
The Buhari government was called extremely chaotic and without discipline, and is against what they promised Nigerians during their campaign periods.
Well, you see, we will go to issue of cabal. It appears from events that Mr. President seems not to know most of the things that are happening around him. For the wife to even come up, the wife came up long before now and said, look, the cabals have taken over the system. Looking at the appointments, you can tell that the body language and the person of Mr. President that Nigerians know. Nobody has, in all this, has said, that Mr. President is this or is corrupt. But we are saying that, is it possible that this thing could be happening for him to know? So the conclusion is that it's not possible, knowing who he is. Okay. So that is the reason why we are saying there is no other. Because most things that are going from things happening, you can tell that it appears the man is not in control. So that is a conclusion. Okay, sir.
We're moving to point number 14. He said Nigeria needs a movement called Coalition for Nigeria, CN.
Okay, I now tell you, who will head that coalition? Who will direct that coalition? That is where you now talk about moral justification, looking at the letter and the person. Now you now assess the person that have written the letter. In my own view, the ex-president has no moral justification to now.
It has to do with this point.
Yes, he can't, because he the same man, wanted to do third term, and it was just because he couldn't succeed.
Yes.
Then for him to say he brought Yaradua, he brought Jonathan, he brought Buhari. Now, what is the guarantee that if he brings another person, the same thing will happen? So, that, in my own view, that is not it. He shouldn't talk about that.
I should just read out what he said here. The purpose of the CN, he said, is to support radical and positive changes, to stimulate progress in the lives of Nigerian citizens. And of course, thanks to it, all people will be protected and gain new freedoms if that happens. And it will try to restore the dignity of Nigerians, including youth and women. That is his own purpose, his own reason why this should be formed.
No. The point is, if it is formed,
who heads it?
Who heads it? That's my own. Who heads it? Well, that's my own position. If it is him, because if that form is being formed, somebody will appoint somebody again. And if he appoints that person, why would we go with the same person? Because he has fed us, the people he brought, according to him, he helped in bringing Yaradua, he helped in bringing Obasanjo, Jonathan, and he supported Buhari. So why would he not, in fact, by the time he was supporting Buhari, didn't he know who Buhari is?
Well, from point number 1, I'll just beg to read. He said he knew that Buhari was weak in handling the economy, but he actually expected him to have surrounded himself with well-meaning Nigerians that would help him out. So he knew. It's not like he doesn't know.
So he is part of the blame. So why should he bring somebody that he know? Why is he even complaining that he lacks understanding of certain capacities? Why is he complaining? Because since he has agreed that he knew before bringing him, he has seen what he brought. In my place, they say you cannot learn how to use left hand at old age.
Yes, sir.
So if he knew that Mr. President is used to using right hand, so he expects him at this age to quickly start using left. So the problem started from him. So we should not even look at him when we want to take a decision. So what it means is that the coalition he's talking about, Nigerians should even do that coalition. If that is what will save us from this situation, is to do it without recourse to former president. That's
okay,
my
sir.
stake
Now, looking at the trend of events with the ex-president being instrumental to coming on board of late Yaradua, Jonathan, and then Buhari, what do you expect as Nigerians from him in the forthcoming election?
What I expect.
What do we as a nation, or what do you expect from him
as former president?
as a former president? Like, is he planning on bringing someone else?
Let me.
Do you think this?
No, he has done what we expect of him.
Okay.
He has given out the information. He had written the letter, and Nigerians, we thank him. At least at that level, he has sent across the message. Let the person that has the message look at it and understand the message. So he has done what we expect him to do. Okay. So let him continue to do that, and we'll be listening and take a decision. So if he is talking about a coalition that he will be part of, I think Nigerians shouldn't follow him again and follow anybody he's going to produce. That is what we are saying. We shouldn't go with him. We should be allowed as Nigerians to take a decision. But do you know what is causing all this problem? Because we feel that is a normal thing for people to come out and say, this is who I want. Yes, he's a former president.
Is there a trend of godfatherism in Nigeria?
Yes. We give it with all respect. He did well, so many things he did during his regime. Yes, we should give him that respect. He helped in stabilizing the nation as a nation, unifying the country. Yes, I agree with him. Things he has said in that letter, yes, they are correct. But let him not think that he should continue to play the role he has played previously, yes, as a godfather, because that is what he's leading to.
Okay.
We also have to give it back to him. I'm not a politician.
Yes, sir.
I'm speaking from my own personal reasons as a Nigerian. I'm not interested, but I'm saying what I think has been going on, yes.
Okay, sir. Now, having analyzed or looked at the 15 points, in as much as we didn't touch all of them, most of them were interwoven into each other, because talking about lacking understanding of economy, lack understanding of foreign policy, and lack of understanding of domestic policy. I think we were able to, touch most of them. Now, looking at this 15 points and everything that the ex-president raised up, and the reactions of Nigerians so far, Fayoshe have come up to say one or two things, and other people are still reacting to it. Now, in the forthcoming election, what do you think should be a right step in the right direction for Nigerians?
The problem in Nigeria is not having a credible election. It's not allowing Nigerians to determine for themselves what they want. That is the problem. I'm speaking on air. Whether INEC will even forget and agree sincerely that they are independent without looking at the people, especially the chairman, the man that appointed him, which is the current president, and allow Nigerians to take decisions by voting. That is the problem. If we are allowed to do that, you find that the person who will even produce that will be our president may not be any of these people that are parading themselves. That's the truth. But because we will not be allowed to do that or to achieve that, that's why we continue to run around the circle. That is the problem. So what we need is to find a way of making our system to work, because it's a system thing. It's a system thing. Some people are dead feeling, oh, this is what I want. I can tell you, those people in APC, they feel that APC have done well, that it must come back. They are ready to do anything to make sure that APC comes back. Okay. Then the PDP people are coming to tell us, oh, APC have failed. Ask them what they want to do when they come back that will be different from what APC is doing now.
Okay. Looking at the past, the last general election,
yes,
we saw how our ex-president conceded defeat,
yes,
immediately without causing any chaos.
Yes.
And if you can look back to the security situation of the country then,
yes,
that people were moving back to other places because
yes,
they were not certain what was going to take place.
Yes.
Now, let us move up a bit to next year's election,
yes,
2019. Do we expect this kind of reaction again if our current president, if he comes back again, and unfortunately if he loses, do we expect the same reaction from him as what our ex-president did?
Please, my fear is even worse now in 19, that what's going to happen in 2019 than what happened in 2015. because in 2019, the desperate cabal around Mr. President, whether they will allow that situation to arise. Because given Mr. President alone, if you watch his body language, he's a very sincere person. If you tell him today that he has lost the election, the man will quickly just comfortably go. From his character, he is not somebody that will say, oh, do it, you must do it, let me win. I don't think he will want to do that. But it is the cabal that will do it without his knowledge and consent. That is the problem. And if that situation is created, I'm afraid 2019 may be worse than the fear that we entertained in 2015. So my fear is not even what will happen, the election itself. It is the people that are managing the cabal that are now benefiting from the system, what they are going to do, and not allow Nigeria to take a decision. And that's where the problem will come, will start. And the president, what will be, how can he, because he's there, it's what information they give him that he will probably work on. So, as at the time he'll be taking a decision, he probably will not know that that is wrong. Then things will have gone wrong. So that's my fear. Okay. I don't know if I've answered that.
No, yes, you have. Yes. Now, majorly we have two political parties. We have the current party, and then we have the opposition party. We have APC and PDP. Now, do you see another strong party coming out? Remember, it was just PDP, then APC. People broke out from so many places and formed APC. Now, do you see another party? And you know, Nigerians is like, we just have sympathy to creation of new parties and all that. And then we still forget that it's still the same people from other parties that still cross carpet. If we're updating ourselves with the trend of events in the polity, you see how people are moving from PDP to APC, which means if another party is being created, they'll still move from APC to such a party. Now, do you see Nigerians conceding to a new party that would be created, apart from the one that our ex-president is talking about?
The problem we have in Nigeria is poverty. People do politics because of what they want to gain, not because of the impact they want to make on the people. So, there will be no third party. From where? There will be none. There will be none. Because if you want to talk about a third force now, you find that it's the same people, because they have lost out in the existing order. They now want to move to a new order. So when they form it, look at APC, by the way. Who are the people in APC? Tell me, over 80% of those you call APC members, if you check, they've been members of PDP. So they left PDP because they were not happy with what they saw, not because on personal principle that, look, I must represent my people, that Nigerians, no, because of their personal interests and benefits. When they didn't get it, they moved out again. And you see, the level of illiteracy in this country, that is what is causing this problem. We are doing this program as you are running it. How many people that will be watching it and analyzing to understand what we are even talking about? Is it those in the northeast? Is it the people in my village where there is no light? Is it my mother that doesn't even know what we are talking about? When I go, I tell him, vote here. That's where she will vote. The same thing. So this election thing is not just for people in the city centers. The vote come from the rural places where they don't see light. They don't even hear anything. They don't even know. It's when the same people go back to them. The question is, where do you want us to vote? They will tell them, this is where I am today. Vote here. Where they draw knife, or where they draw whatever flower. That is all. So the question of third force will not come. What you will find is that I would even analyze the election, my own, what I will tell you. PDP and APC. APC will lose more states and lose more seats. PDP will gain, and maybe some few parties. By the way, look at the number of political parties that are being registered. What is that telling you? It's just to use it to negotiate for what position that will be given. That is all. The more you try to have a coalition that will fight and get out this government from the current administration, the more you have more political parties. They have their objective you can't even define. What is the article party manifesto? They don't even tell you. They don't even know what it is. They know that this party has been registered. That is all. So, in 2019, there will be no third force, in my view. We are remaining with APC or PDP. It's either APC or PDP that win the election. There is no third force that will emerge that will quickly that will succeed. Because why the APC joined with CPC and succeeded in 2015? Don't forget that Chief Ahmed Tinubu, is the only politician in Nigeria, I can tell you with respect, that had remained consistent in his AC. You know, he started his ACAD. He had never changed from any party to any other party, apart from this coalition that they have that became APC. Okay. Now, he got at a point, it was only Lagos State. And he was there with that state. He took Southwest. The whole Southwest was not PDP. They were in opposition. So, you hardly find those things in other places. Do you want me to give you my analysis? I'll tell you.
No, sir. Our time is actually... We're actually looking at our time, and our time is up, seriously. And really want to thank you very much. And we oblige you to please create more time to, stay with us. And we enjoy your analysis today, and of course, your personal opinions, and of course, from the legal angle, you've given us what you think or what your take is as regards the later Olusegun Obasanjo wrote to our President Muhammad Buhari. Now, the bottom line is, Nigerians, we want a change. We are not comfortable with what is happening. If that is your thought, then you ask yourself a question. Have you registered, for election? Do you have a voter's card? You quickly need to go and do the proper thing. As a Nigerian citizen, you have the right to make your choice when it has to do with elections. So what do? Go and get yourself registered and get ready for 2019 election. But let's remember, our vote is our right. Let's do the proper thing and then get the government of Nigeria started and rolling up again. Thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful episode. Barrister NJ Carlo, thank you very much for coming on the show. And to Nigerians, and this is where we'll actually give a halt on National Discourse this morning. Catch you same time by Monday. Thank you and have a nice Welcome to National Discourse. Fuel scarcity has